Welcome to Nitpicking Nerds and another episode of Budget Bombs!
This time, budget card draw.
I'm your host, Joe Cherries.
I'm your host, Beezy, and that makes us the Nitpicking Nerds, bringing you daily content, reminding you to also check out our Discord for a free community where you can talk to us and play Commander with us and other people who are not us. And if you really want to support us, you can go to Patreon and spend actual dollars. But right now, what are we doing?
We are doing Budget Bombs, which means cards under $1 that, well, draw you cards. And some of these might be worded not to draw cards, but card advantage.
Card advantage, card draw, drawing cards. You're going to have more cards than when you started. The first couple, we are going to go in Uberg order.
Yeah.
So first, blue.
Blue. Yeah, we're doing blue first. Blue has the most. There's card draw in blue everywhere. It's one of the things the color is known for, though. They are expanding. I think they finally have acknowledged the fact that card draw is too important to just be a blue thing.
At least find a cool, nifty way for other colors to do it, like red. But starting off with the blue, we'll save white for last. We have, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of these that are just, if you are okay with including instants and sorceries in your deck, you're going to be happy with Compulsive Research, Thirst for Knowledge, Factor Fiction, Deep Analysis, Chemist's Insight, and Treasure Cruise. The reason we're not going to harp on these too much is we talked about them in our Budget Bomb Instant and Sorcery video.
Yes, I can give a quick note for each of these. Compulsive Research, make sure you discard a land or it's not card advantage. Thirst for Knowledge goes in your artifact decks. Factor Fiction lets you see a lot of cards. Deep Analysis, it has flashback and that's why it's good. Same thing with Chemist's Insight. And Treasure Cruise is Ancestral Recall when it's doing its thing.
Yeah, we have Treasure Cruise as one of the best sorceries. It was like, not in the top 15, but I think it was like in the honorable mentions.
It's in the top 20, top 30.
Top 30, and you get it for 30 cents.
Yeah.
So moving on to the blue ones that we haven't talked about on the channel so much. First, Flash of Insight, which is 23 cents. X1 blue for an instant. Look at the top X cards of your library, put one of them into your hand, and the rest on the bottom of your library. Flashback, 1 in a blue, and remove X blue cards in your graveyard from the game. So if you remove 5 blue cards from your graveyard, you get to look at the top 5, and this isn't card advantage on one side, but if you either mill it or cast both sides, it is definitely card advantage.
Yes, as soon as you do it twice, you get the card advantage. Or like you said, if you mill it into your graveyard and then get one card back from a card in your graveyard, that is card advantage.
Yeah, you didn't spend a card. It's just there, and then you got a free card. This card has been really, really good for me in heavier blue decks.
You're going to be playing, yeah, exactly. You play this, it doesn't have to be like super heavy blue, but you either want this to be 1 or 2 color deck. You're never, I would say avoid 3 color decks unless you're like some sort of like Grixis mono blue.
Yeah, Flash of Insight, I don't see a lot of people playing it. It's going to pull its weight. It's a lot of card selection. If you're looking for something and you haven't really done anything with your graveyard, flash it back. You can exile like 20 things and just, it's Demonic Tutor at that point.
Yeah, exactly. Next, we have Flow of Ideas, which is 6 mana and you draw for each island you control. Again, this is a heavy blue deck thing. You're going to have to go against our little deck building thing because we tend to like skimp down on basics, and you really want to be up on basics for this.
Yeah, there's a couple blue cards that want you to have islands. They're like High Tide is one.
Mm-hmm.
This is one. There's a couple others that care about actual islands. Mystic Sanctuary even wants you to have a lot of islands. So once you're doing that, Flow of Ideas is crazy. It's a lot of cards. It might look like it's 6 for 6, but that's actually just not true, especially if you're in mono blue. Late game, you got 10, 12 islands out, game's almost over, tap half your lands, draw like 12 cards.
Yeah, exactly. I think a good comparison to this is there's that 7 draw 7, and that card's awful. And at the floor, that's what this card is. This is like the 6 draw 6 is its floor.
Yep.
And then as you scale into the later game, it gets better. Again, to be very clear about this card, do not just throw this in any blue deck even. If you have a mono blue deck where you're high in the utility lands, I wouldn't even put this in because you want to make sure that you have that late game ability with this card. Because if you don't have that, don't play this card.
But those cards, there's a handful of them that say play islands.
Mm-hmm.
I think it's worth considering, are these better than my utility lands? Because they might be.
Exactly, yeah, exactly. They're two deck building ideas. Do I care about having tons of islands or do I care about having tons of utility lands?
Just maximize the land slot. And that's only 23 cents. What's the next one, which is one of our best instants?
This is one of the few that's not actually card advantage. Right. It is Frantic Search. It is 2 in a blue, draw 2 cards, then discard 2 cards, untap 3 lands. Technically, you're not getting card advantage, but I think we include this because it's so good. It's a free spell. You put no mana into it. You do technically go down a card, but card selection is a way to get yourself ahead also.
Yeah, if I've got, 4 lands in my hand and 3 spells, then I play this, and then I end up with 3 spells and 3 lands. Like, well, I just went up a spell.
Yes.
I don't care that I went down a land. I don't need them. This game's going to be over before I deploy all these lands, or I have enough. I don't need any more.
Yep. There's not really much more to talk about. Frantic Search is amazing. Again, we talk about the island thing. If you're playing the High Tide deck, this is a ritual that lets you look at more cards, and that's insane.
Completely insane. Totally bonkers. Actually, if you haven't checked, one of the best instants in the whole format. I would look for excuses to play Frantic Search.
Absolutely. Next, we're moving into black, and we have Minions Murmurs. A card that until like 6 months ago I didn't know existed.
Yes.
It's 2 black for a sorcery. Draw cards equal to the number of creatures you control and lose that much life.
Yeah, this is a nice little meatball. Super spicy. It's just 4 mana. We talked about there's plenty of green cards that say draw for each creature you control. Those are all pretty good, especially on a budget. And a lot of those are actually creeping up past $1. And here we have Minions Murmurs. Is like, it wants you to lose 6 life, and it'll just give you 6 cards.
Yeah, the whole idea of budget bombs is to stay under $1. So one of the worst parts for us when we're going through is the 102 cards. Like, oh my god,
heartbreakers.
It's heartbreaking because like I want to talk about those cards, but this is a budget field. This is for you budget people that are in the comments saying, what if I'm on a budget? Well, watch this video.
Yes, literally this. Minions Murmurs, I think, is super underlooked. I remember checking the EDH rec, how many decks it's in. I was just like blown away by how few it was. I think nobody just knows this card is real.
Yeah, I think a good thing right now to like take into consideration, this was just reprinted.
Yes.
Get it right now because I feel there's a chance that there's always those old overlooked cards. And I feel like it was an old overlooked card. For me, it was at least.
Yes.
And now it's been reprinted in a fresh set and new eyes on it. I could easily see it going to like $2-3 if people catch on that how good this card actually is.
Yeah, all the mainstream channels, a month from now are going to be like, this card exists. I didn't even know. And then everyone's going to go buy them, and you're going to be like, why didn't I just listen to those nitpicking nerds? All right, next black card. Disciple of Bolas. It's 3 black for a 2/1 human. When it enters the battlefield, sacrifice another creature. You draw cards and gain life equal to its power. So this just wants you to have some other big, chunky fatty out there. And it can be 4 mana, draw 4, gain 4, plus have a 2/1. And there's a battlefield ability. Yeah,
another card with a very high ceiling, because if you have a nice beta, if you have, let's just say, you open the mythic, and its name is Grave Titan. It's not a great card.
Not a nice beta.
So you're thinking, I don't want this card on the battlefield. It's not that good. Sacrifice it, draw 6 cards, gain 6 life. Now that's a good card.
Yeah, just don't even look at the Grave Titan ever again. It's fine. We all make mistakes. You played it. You can't get that 6 mana back, but you can draw 6 cards off of it.
Yeah. Again, the ceiling really high. You can draw upwards of whatever you can make a power. It just depends on what your deck is doing.
Yeah. If you don't have any creatures in your deck, don't play this card.
Yeah. If you have a way of augmenting power in your deck, it can just be amazing. Think about throwing a Skull Clamp gives it an extra power. So when you sack it, you draw an extra 3 cards now.
Well, and then Skull Clamp's ready to move right over onto Bolas, Disciple of Bolas, which is a 2/1.
Yep.
They draw 2 more cards.
That's not a budget card, unfortunately. But
we would be talking about that for at least 30 seconds if it was.
Yeah, exactly. Disciple Bolas, solid. Next, we have Liliana's Standard Bearer. When Liliana's Standard Bearer enters the battlefield, draw X cards, where X is the number of creatures that died under your control this turn. A thing I like about a card like this is that you can overextend. Throw everything on the board. As long as you leave up that 3 mana, okay, I only have 1 card in hand. But as soon as this board's wiped and 6 of my creatures die, I have a fresh hand, and I have a 3/1 that can probably just get in a free chip damage.
Or do you have a sack outlet? Do you have creatures that aren't doing anything? Did you play Grave Titan again? Sack it and the 2 tokens, and then just proactively play a 3 mana, draw 3 cards. Actually, play this thing, sack it in response, and then draw 4.
You can also do a lot of cool things like just send in a bad attack.
Yeah.
That's going to result in a lot of creatures dying. Maybe you'll get through like 6-7 damage, but like you'll lose like 4 creatures because they have good blocks. It's just like, and then afterwards you draw 4 cards, but you still got in the chip damage and you turn things into card advantage.
Super good if you've got cheap disposable creatures, tokens, sack outlets. Even if you just want to play a board wipe and then play this after.
Yeah, this card is 27 cents. It was printed pretty recently. You just have to, one thing about it, and this is its weakness, is that you want to hold it up. And sometimes the cases won't come where it's going to be great. Like you might have like 7-8 creatures on the board, and you're like, okay, I want to hold this up because if there's a board up, I really want to be safe. And then you'll go around. It's like, oh, I held the mana for no reason. I could have done something else. Which,
it's good for proactive things too, though.
It is. I agree. I'm just saying, like this card has downsides.
The downside is you might hold it up defensively, and then none of your creatures die. But even that feels like an upside.
Yeah,
none of my creatures died. Okay, cool. Now we can move on to the red cards. First one here is Commune with Lava. It's 30 cents. It's X red red. Exile top X cards of your library. You can play them until the end of your next turn. This has all the best wording for the exile draw. It doesn't say until the end of this turn, and it says you can play lands.
Yeah, it's also an instant. I really like this because you hold up all your mana for doing whatever instant you have. Then on the end of the player before you, you just cast this for 10 billion and one.
Yeah.
And then you untap, and you have all your mana to put into this now.
I like also jamming this on like turn 5 or 6 or turn 4 or 5 when you're setting up, and you just go, all right, exile 4 cards. I'm going to make a land drop from those cards this turn and then next turn, and I'll play the other 2 or 3 spells I exiled too, and then just get like 5 cards worth of advantage.
Yeah, this is a card that it plays better, or it only plays well in decks that aren't the other colors. So you need this in Boros.
Oh, I was like, what are you talking about?
Yeah, I misworded that. Boros decks and mono red decks is the only place you're going to want this card. Don't put it anywhere else because the card draw is just better in those other colors.
Yeah, and a lot of these are. It's true for we restrict them to like mono and 2 because first of all, budget decks are not 3, 4, 5 colors typically, and even if they are, yeah, you can play these. But a lot of these are monocolor cards, and once you combine, blue, white, and black, well, now you don't have to play 9 blue draw spells. You get to play 9 and the 3 of each best. So it's some of these don't make it into that when you get to 5 color, 4 color, 3 color decks.
Exactly. This next one does though because it's kind of fun and it has a lot of politics to it, political value. Humble Defector. It's a 2/1 for 1 in the red. Tap it. You draw 2 cards, then you give control of it to an opponent. It's 25 cents. So like I said, this is political value. Usually what you do is you team up with a buddy. You say, hey, I'll give you this. You give it back. And that's how it goes.
Yep. You can really, not king make, but you can jam you and your friends right up to first and second place, or bully the person who's in first, and then they're not going to win that game if they don't ever get Humble Defector. Yeah,
Humble Defector can be a very mean card because you get to, if people are willing to team up with you, which they often are for 2 cards, then yeah, you're going to be able to use this card quite well.
This is a very tangible benefit to say, hey, I'm going to give you this. I expect something in return. It's like, well, you just gave me 2 cards, so I'll just give it back to you because you said you're going to give it back to me. Plenty of stuff like that. Humble Defector can win games by itself, or let's say decide games by itself.
It can decide games, yeah. Win games isn't necessarily right because it might win it for somebody else. I guess it will win games.
Yes, it will win games.
Next, we have Outpost Siege, which is 3 in a red for an enchantment. When it enters the battlefield, choose Khans or Dragons. If you choose Khans, at the beginning of your upkeep, exile the top card of your library. You may play it until the end of your turn. If you choose Dragons, whenever a creature you control leaves the battlefield, Outpost Siege deals 1 damage to any target. Though that second part makes this card more playable because of versatility, it's not what we're talking about here. Every single turn, it's a Phyrexian Arena effect, but you're not in black, you're not in green, and you're not in blue. You can't draw well, and because you can't draw well, these cards get a huge boost.
Context is extremely important. When you're on a budget, and let's say every card in your deck has to be less than $1, or this, whatever slot this is, has to be less than $1, Phyrexian Arena suddenly becomes a lot more playable. If Phyrexian Arena was 50 cents, I would say, yes, this is a good budget card. Is it a card I'm ever really going to play in tuned higher power commander? No, not really. But when we're in budget, obviously the bar gets lowered.
Yeah, I think one of the things about Phyrexian Arena it's $10. You spend $10 on a card that's just, for $10, the amount that we can upgrade a deck, Phyrexian Arena is just not worth that. And
no.
I mean, it's not that the card is bad or awful. It's that it's not worth $10.
I don't think it's worth playing. And I don't think that effect is worth playing I don't care what the price is in higher powered things. If it was budget, yeah, we would be recommending it right now.
Yes. But Outpost Siege completely fine. Also, there's a lot of these effects. Be wary. Not all of them most of them don't let you play lands. That's why Outpost Siege actually gets an extra boost. It does let you play the lands.
Yeah, plus if you got a ton of creatures, just play the dragon side. You don't need cards. I'm just trying to win the game. All right, moving on to green cards. First one, classic. Harmonize, 2 green, draw 3 cards. It's only 36 cents. It usually doesn't synergize with whatever your green deck is doing, but in some cases, we'll just take the 4 mana draw 3.
1000% a budget card. Like nothing more, nothing less. There's not. I think that we were looking at like the Souls of the Harvest and the Life Cards Beast here. There's too much. You can't quite. They're not quite $1. So instead, Harmonize is going to get the job done. Is it the best card in the world? No, but for 36 cents. It does what it needs to do.
Yeah, I think there's also a creature called Voice of the Many or whatever. It's just a 3/3 that says If you control more creatures than each opponent, you draw a card for each one. So that can be a 4-mana draw 3 that's also a creature. So pick whatever is best for you or play both, especially if you're a creature deck. Next up is Momentous Fall. It's 2 green for an instant. As an additional cost to cast it, you sacrifice a creature, draw cards equal to its power, and you gain life equal to its toughness. I think they're not eating it, are they?
I don't know.
They killed an Eldrazi. Maybe it's just like you're happy that it died.
Whatever. Well, regardless of whatever the flavor of this card is, you just take your biggest creature, you sacrifice it, and you're drawing cards. This is a budget version of like those Rich Cards Expertise, the
Life's Legacy.
Life's Legacy, and what's the other one? There's another one.
Like Garruk?
Yeah, Garruk.
Primal Hunter?
Return of the Wild Speaker.
And
Garruk Primal Hunter. Yeah. So all of those, it's a budget version of all of those cards because you get to draw equal to your biggest power. It's said you have to sacrifice it, but hey. We're on a budget here.
Yeah, it's weird. You can either use it proactively to try to win or do something, get something going, or defensively, but it's 4 mana. That's a lot to hold up.
Yeah, but this is a budget bomb.
Budget bomb. Don't even worry about it.
So yeah, you need to be, we're not in the category where we can just play whatever we want. If we could, we wouldn't play many of these cards. But budget bombs is where we're going to play them.
Yes, the next two, very, very similar. Armorcraft Judge and Inspiring Call. Armorcraft Judge and Inspiring Call both say draw a card for each creature you control with a +1/+1 counter on it. Judge is a 3/3. That's all it does. And Inspiring Call gives them indestructible in addition to the first effect. Armorcraft Judge is a quarter. Inspiring Call is 64 cents. If you're playing +1/+1 counters, these are actually some of your better cards. Not only are they on a budget, but they're amazing.
Yeah, these ones are not just budget cards. If you're playing a +1/+1 counters deck and your team's reliably going to have counters on them, both these are great draw spells.
Otherwise, just forget about them.
Yeah, I Inspiring Call I think is just like if you're playing a counters deck, it's pretty much an auto include. That card's very good.
It's like 3 mana draw 3, and that's a medium version of it.
Yeah, or it can be save your team from a board wipe, draw 7. Okay,
sure, if I have to.
What a ceiling!
And it's an uncommon from an old set, so it's nothing.
Yeah. Next is we're going into artifacts, and it's Mask of Memory. 2 mana artifact. It's an equipment. Whenever equipped creature deals combat damage to a player, you may draw 2. If you do, discard a card. Equip 1. I think one of the best things here is that it equips for only 1, and that's really awesome.
Yeah, we talked about Equip 1 being super huge on equipments. And this one we kind of noticed when we were playing Commander Legends.
Yeah, this card is totally reasonable. If you're going to be able to sneak through hits reliably, you have flyers, you have unblockable creatures, anything like that, trample, then you can throw this in your deck to just get that card advantage.
Or Double Strike or an equipment sub-theme. A lot of excuses to play this card. It does work. It's the Commander Legends was like a lower power. You could call them budget decks-ish. It ran away with some games. There's like they played on a flyer and you're just, they just got 8 cards off of it over the course of a game.
Yeah, because you can't spend all your removal on their dorky flyers that aren't even good creatures. They just happen to have this equipment on it.
Exactly. Mask Memory is not a bad Magic card at all. Now we get to move into the best color for card draw, which is white.
White. So the first one I want to talk about, Bygone Bishop. 2 and a white for a 2/3 flyer. Whenever you cast a creature with converter mana cost 3 or less, investigate, which means you get a clue that has 2, sacrifice this artifact, draw a card. Okay, so whenever we play a little dorky creature, we investigate. That's pretty cool. It actually turns all of our creatures into the best draw spell for white. Thraben Inspector, which is a 1/2 that when it enters the battlefield, you investigate.
Yeah, it's the Elvish Visionary of white. These 2 cards are like the best we're going to get. The best we have so far for budget weight card draw. Bygone Bishop, only 42 cents. Thraben Inspector, though, that's going to be 43 cents.
It's going to cost you a little bit more. Both these cards are totally reasonable. If you have any synergies with Thraben Inspector, it really bumps it up. Maybe any artifact synergies. You want these small, dorky creatures. You can search up 1-drops maybe.
Oh, let me tell you, Ranger VOs for Thraben Inspector is like all I want to be doing. That is such a satisfying feeling. It's sweet. You just get all these cards and you're amassing these resources. It feels like you're actually getting card advantage when you do stuff like that.
I want you to look at how much mana you just spent to draw a card.
I just spent, so you play Ranger VOs, which is 4 mana, to draw 1. You draw 2 cards.
Okay.
And then you play Thraben Inspector and you're up another card. And then the other card you got.
Oh, the Thraben Inspector just gives you a card? You don't have to crack the clue?
No. So that's
okay.
7 mana and you're up 3 cards.
Oh, white.
Hey.
How we love thee.
Let's just say Ranger VOs, you're up 2 cards. That doesn't feel too bad.
Yeah, it doesn't. But if you keep going, it starts to sound a lot worse. But that is our video, and that is all of our budget card draw for today. Special shout outs to all of our patrons. We love you all as much as we can without making you comfortable. We appreciate you guys so much.
And I will say, some people didn't know this, but after the shout-outs, we do a little tidbit about our lives. So first I'm going to tell you that there's a link in the description. But after that, we're going to talk about ourselves. So if you want to hear that, it's after this. TCG Player, link in the description. Click on it, go to the site, navigate where you want, buy the cards you want. Then we get a kickback on the order. You spend $0 extra. You support local businesses. That's on TCG Player. And then you just tip your old pals, Nitpicking Nerds.
Yes. For the patrons who are sticking around, I need anybody who is a patron who is supposed to get a perk and hasn't gotten it. Make sure that your address is in patreon.com, because we can't
hunt you down.
I can't. I've tried. It just it's a lot of like moving pieces and like tracing down. So there is a spot within the website to put in your address, and I can get it directly.
Yeah. So if you missed a perk, address, let us know.
Yes. Yeah. Let us know. It's possible that I won't be able to see it, so you'll have to tell me and I can send it out.
Yeah, but let's just say we're pretty good about getting those perks. Almost no complaints so far. Certainly no problems on our end. So go join that Patreon today. But now we got a tidbit.
Do you?
I guess if we're gonna, the first thing that came to my head is I think we had a discussion about free will the other day.
Free will?
Free will, yeah. We were talking about if you rewound the universe and start a time over, would everything play out the exact same way? So I think it would. I'm on the side of there's basically no free will, but then it doesn't matter because you have to act as though there is anyway.
But there ostensibly is, but that doesn't mean that you would have done something differently. You still have choices and you're still able to do different things. Like, I don't need to do this.
Yeah.
There's no reason for me to do this. This is really stupid.
Yeah.
I don't even know why I'm still doing it.
When it comes to the question of could you have done differently, I would just say no.
No, but
it's not a defense for murder or anything.
No, it's just not at all. It's
just a fact of the universe is pretty cool.
I do like the idea that every single version of the universe has Nitpicking Nerds, and everyone I've done this.
For
whatever reason, this doesn't do anything.
So I don't think every version of the universe is the exact same.
Well, every version of this universe that if we replayed it is what I mean.
Whenever we replay the universe, you eventually get to this point.
You eventually get to this point where I don't know what this is.
And everyone's watching going, I better like and subscribe.
What is that? I'm still doing it.
This is why we don't have a preview card.
Peace out, Tribe Scout.